All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me on the Teacher Lady Speaks. I'm Miss Erica, the Teacher Lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Here, we use my experience teaching tiny humans to help enhance your experience raising them, okay? And this is done by way of resources, honest insights, and reflections. I try to tell you what I've learned as a well seasoned educator in order to help you help them. All right? From a person who understands just how hard love work can be, because I get it. Now, this week's theme is all about loving your body image, and self acceptance. It's about teaching kids to learn to appreciate who they are, blemishes, curves, and all. And of course, we use picture books to be able to do so. This week's featured books were How to Stop Freaking Out by Dr. Carla, and that was a guide all about anxiety and just overall the things that happen with our body, as well as a kid's book about body image by Miss Rebecca, which is a reminder to love who you are and all the things that come along with that. All right. Both of those books are available for read alouds on the Teacher Lady Reads playlist, as well as there are two behind the book reviews where I let you know how you can utilize those books as a resource to raise children who are more body positive. And now we're wrapping it all up with this episode of The Teacher Lady Speaks, a crash course in how to raise children with more positive attitudes around their body image. You ready? Let's grow. Explaining the topic to a child. What does it mean to love your body? To love your body means to know your body. It means to look at the things that you appreciate about yourself, the things that are unique about you. It means to get to know your body, to see the things that are different, to understand that sometimes your freckles will pop up in the summer, but they'll go away by the time winter comes. To love your body means to know your body, and it means to accept your body. And that's often done by way of affirmations. Affirmations are a positive tool when you're trying to get children to understand themselves, to understand body image positivity and self-love. So having them state things like, I love blank about myself. I love the way that my legs swing back and forth when I'm at the park, or I love how fast I'm able to run and use my arms to be able to help me. I love how strong I am. The more that that child can start to understand the things that they like about who they are, the least problems they will have when it comes to body image issues. Okay. Moving on, what are schools required to teach? Now, as always, every week we compare the curriculum in the state of Texas versus the state of California so that we understand what your child might be learning in school. Okay. California promotes self-awareness and emotional health through the Health Education Content Standard and the Transformative Social Emotional Learning Competencies, okay, TSEL. Now, most of this is done through the Health Education Standards of mental, emotional, and social health strands. For grades K through 3, there's emphasis on identifying personal characteristics that make children unique, okay? So what markers make me who I am? Then moving on to grades 4 through 5, children should be able to explain how their body changes are part of growth and development. They should be able to demonstrate positive body image and self-respect. Then by grades 6 through 8, they should be able to analyze the influences of media representation and how that affects self-esteem. Now, in my opinion, grades 6 through 8 is way too late to start to have a conversation around media images, social media, and overall how that impacts what we think about our own self-worth. I think 6th grade is too late. These are conversations that should start in kindergarten. Let's keep going. So overall, the state of California is looking for self-awareness, for children to recognize their strengths and limitations with confidence, as well as self-management with things like being able to manage stress and emotions in healthy ways. Now, this does not have a lot to do with self-love in response to your body. There isn't a lot in the curriculum that is like, this is how we're going to teach children to love and accept who they are, to love and accept their bodies. This is the unit on body positivity. This is the curriculum or the framework on body positivity that doesn't quite exist. There is a lot in California curriculum around, I would say, more so culture and being accepting of other people and their differences and diversity, but there was not much around getting children to fully love and even admire who they are in response to their physical being, okay? All right, let's move on to the state of Texas. So Texas connects self-acceptance to emotional health, body awareness, and personal responsibility through its health education and positive character traits standards. So this is Title 19, Chapter 115 and 120. So these standards are breaking up by grade, like all standards are. In grade 1, they're looking for children to identify and demonstrate behaviors that promote physical and emotional health. Not exactly what we're looking for, but it might rub against it. In 2nd grade, we're looking for children to identify emotions and practice strategies to manage those emotions. By grade 4, the state of Texas is looking for students to be able to explain and understand how media and peer pressures help to influence the concept of a beautiful body or a healthy body, so on and so forth. Which again, grade 4 is earlier than grade 6. It's still not early enough, okay? In grade 5, there is a short framework that talks about children being able to describe the importance of positive self-talk and setting realistic personal goals. And by middle school, children should analyze the relationship between self-esteem, body image, and healthy behaviors. So the Texas Positive Character Trait Standards include self-control, respect and confidence, foundational values for body positivity and self-acceptance. So these frameworks encourage students to maybe start thinking about the topic, but again, there is no home run in response to body image and looking at yourself and appreciating who you are and being excited about who you are and loving your body as is. It does not exist in either state. Both states come up short for me. The importance of media influence is such a big deal. So often you only think something is wrong with you because somebody told you. Either somebody told you consciously, so they told you very clearly, hey, you need to lose weight, or you see a bunch of people who are being successful, who look like they have happy lives and so on and so forth in smaller bodies. Either way, the message is the same, okay? So that has to be combated. And for me, 4th grade, 6th grade is way too late with all of the images that are constantly surrounding our children. Let's keep growing. Resources to help you raise a child that is confident in who they are in response to their body. The first is going to have to do with you as the educator or as the parent. It is so difficult to teach something that we don't have ourselves. If we don't know how to love ourselves, if we don't know how to have positive thoughts around our own body image, it becomes very difficult to pass it on to our children. So the first resource I want to bring your attention to is one that's called the Body Positive. So the Body Positive provides evidence-based tools that help people unlearn the harmful beauty standards and to build healthy, joyful relationships with their bodies. So it is a program, almost like a course that you can take that is going to help you with things like self-love, self-expression, appreciating who you are, combating against the negative things that society puts out there about our bodies, and so much more. I love it because it's a community, and it's this community that is on a mission to have people fall in love with themselves. So that is something you definitely want to check out, because as you learn things yourself, you're able to then, of course, share them with your children or with your students. Let's keep going. The second resource I want to share with you is called Common Sense, and they have a media hub on body image. Okay. Common Sense Media is going to be almost like this database, and they're going to do things like curate books around the topic. For this topic, it would be body image and self-love. They're going to have media recommendations as well as those diverse books. They're going to have forums and ways to have discussions, and just overall, you can think of it as almost this encyclopedia to kind of get to what it is that you need and for your child. So the Body Image Hub helps caregivers choose content that promotes confidence, self-love, self-respect, and realistic expectations about appearance. That one is so important. I'm going to take a detour because I'm worried that I'll forget it later. I recently went to go see Brandy and Monica in concert live, and part of that tour, Kelly Rowland was performing, and Kelly Rowland looked amazing. Like, she looked strong. She looked oiled down. She just visually looked very beautiful. And I had this thought. It was an impulsive thought. It wasn't one that I necessarily controlled. But I had this thought of like, man, I got to get in the gym. For one, I do move my body. But for two, it is this direct response to seeing Kelly Rowland. Now, right after that, my next thought was, my guess is that Kelly Rowland has always looked like some version of that. Sure enough, if you look up her pictures of when she was a child, Kelly Rowland has always looked like Kelly Rowland. It doesn't take away from the fact that she probably puts in a lot of work to look exactly how she does, but there are things genetically that are the same, that have been the same for her since the beginning. The same is true of me. If you go pull up my baby pictures, which if I'll find one, I'll insert it. But if you go pull up my baby pictures, the teacher lady has always looked like the teacher lady. I have always had a chunkier build. I've always had beautiful chocolate brown skin. I've always had curly hair. These things have been consistent. So when I think about this line that says, the Body Image Hub helps caregivers choose content that promotes self-confidence, self-respect, and realistic expectations about appearance. The realistic expectations about appearance. Realistic expectations about appearance is crucial. My body is beautiful and her body is beautiful, and I no longer have to wish for a body that does not belong to me. And I no longer have to try to make myself uncomfortable to be able to fit and look like a person that I will never fit and look like without a whole lot of work and probably money. Okay. The third resource that I want to talk about is kidshealthy.org. It's going to offer kid-friendly articles that are going to explain things like self-confidence and body image in very accessible and clear language, which I love. So the site is going to help children understand their bodies from a functional standpoint, how to talk about their feelings, and even how to practice self-care. So be sure to check that one out. The next resource I want to bring your attention to is UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center shares science-backed mindfulness and self-compassion practices that families can use together. Their exercises help kids understand emotions, practice positive self-talk, and develop resilience. And these are all things that are needed for healthy thoughts around body image and self-acceptance. The next resource I want to bring your attention to is extremely important. It's going to be the National Eating Disorders Association, their Educator's Toolkit. NEDA's Educator's Toolkit gives parents and teachers guidance on talking about body image safety, recognizing signs of body dysmorphia and dissatisfaction, and building supportive environments. It is a powerful resource for adults who want to approach these topics with knowledge, sensitivity, and confidence. The next resource I'm going to talk about, and this is the last one that I'll discuss for now, but of course, if you want more, you already know to subscribe to my newsletter. and I will send that out to you. But for now, let's get into the last resource, which is Curious World. Curious World offers interactive books, games, and videos that support healthy, emotional expression and self-esteem through play. Its content helps younger children explore feelings, understand their bodies, and build confidence in themselves in gentle, developmentally appropriate ways. Best practices at home. There are so many best practices when it comes to raising a child that loves their bodies. One of them is going to be to stop any negative self-talk in the moment. So as soon as you hear your child call themselves stupid or ugly or fat in a way to be mean to themselves, or as soon as you witness them pulling at their skin or wishing that something was different, you want to address it. Not in this way to be like, hey, don't do that, but to really explore why they feel that way. Because if you don't combat it, it becomes their normal. And if that is their normal voice, they're going to have a very difficult time finding any type of self-love when it comes to their bodies. So as you hear these things, which are often told by somebody else, you want to make sure that you are combating them, stopping in the moment, but also talking about them so that your child starts to understand that they're actually not true. You know, your skin actually is not ugly. You're going through puberty, and that's part of the changes. I remember when my daughter's teeth first fell out, the ones in the middle, and she said, "Do I look ugly?" And I was like, first of all, Addie doesn't usually have self-esteem stuff, so it took me a second. But I said she may have heard somebody say something about her teeth missing. And I explained to her, baby, at your age, that's what happens. You lose your baby teeth and then your big ones grow in, which she already knew from going to the dentist, but she just needed that reminder. I explained to her that every single student in her class will likely go through the same process of losing their teeth and then having new ones grow in, and that her teeth were right where they needed to be. Okay, so it didn't take a lot of time. It's all of a 2-minute conversation, but that 2-minute conversation makes a world of a difference. The next best practice is affirmations. I talked about affirmations some earlier, but if you have a child that has difficulties expressing what they love about themselves, embed it into some sort of routine. It's part of their night routine. Maybe have them reflect in the mirror. I know I do it with my daughter. Have your child reflect in the mirror on what it is that they love about themselves from that day or what they did well in that day. And you can even talk about the things that they want to improve on. But having this consistent way of reflecting is super important in raising a child that is truly in love with their own bodies. And so do some sort of affirmations, have them repeat an affirmation, have them share. I like the changing it every day so that it's not just, I love my skin, I love my skin, I love my skin. But today I really liked when I did blank. I really liked when I helped blank, so on and so forth, because it's a way to keep it fresh. We don't want to become so monotone and so repetitive. We really do want there to be meaning and energy around or behind the words that we speak. And so making it different every single day helps with that. It also helps to have reflection on your day. The next is going to be super crucial as a best practice. You're going to have to get that baby off of everybody's social media. We're not going to be following the Kim Kardashians of the world. We're not going to be following that surgeon that does this beautiful BBL makeup. We're not doing that. You're going to have to protect your child from media as much as possible. If they have an Instagram, if they have a TikTok, put on those controls so that it's as safe as it can possibly be. Look at their phone. Please don't think that's an invasion of their privacy. Look at the messages. Look at that phone. Look at them posts. Let them know that you're looking at that phone and them posts, because the images that they see become their reality. And if their whole feed are these supermodels who have had all of these surgeries or work done, or even genetically look different from them, they will start to think that they have to look like that to be special, to be important, to be loved. And it's just simply not true. It's just not. And so be involved in the media that your child is consuming. Even with me, I know with my daughter, when it comes to TV shows and movies and all of that, she has to clear it. And if it's not something that I saw, like I haven't previously seen it, then I'm I don't want her to watch it, because it is important to have filters when it comes to what reaches our children. And the last best practice is to create a safe space that your child can come and talk to them about the things that they're insecure about. If they're being picked at because they are wearing that hijab to school, if their skin is breaking out and now they don't want their face to be seen, or they're wearing this huge band-aid because of acne, or whatever body changes they might be experiencing, allow yourself to be a resource. You can set aside 5 minutes to hear what it is your child has to say, and it makes so much of a difference. If you can think back to the first time you thought you were ugly, if you had a person you could go to and say, I think I'm ugly, and then they hold a conversation with you to really break down why you think that and where that came from and how you need to give those words back to the person who gave them to you, it would help so much. So many of us never heard the things we needed to hear to combat the negative things that we felt about ourselves, and it shows. And we feel it today. So be that for your child. When to seek help. If your child has got to a point to where they are avoiding mirrors, they're constantly talking negative and bad about themselves, they're daydreaming about looking like a supermodel or somebody else, and it's just all negative all the time. They can't find anything beautiful about their bodies. They hate their bodies. They hate themselves. They're starting to be depressed or overly anxious when it comes to other people seeing them. It's time to get them some help. And in this case, that would be mental health. Okay? Mental health help. So you want to go to your doctor and check in to make sure that they are okay and get whatever assessments need to be done. You want to talk to your school counselor to see if they have any peer classes that your child can participate in. You want to go to your local library and see what resources are available there, not only in terms of books, which are great, but also in terms of groups, in terms of community gathering. You want to be proactive around making sure to get your child out of that state of depression and sadness and self-loathing and self-hatred as quickly as possible. So it is time to seek help if it is excessive, if you're no longer getting anything good out of them and it's just constantly doomsday. It's time to go seek some help. All right. Common questions. How do I talk to my child about body image or how they feel about their body without making it awkward? It's going to be awkward. Baby, the body is awkward. The bumps and the raises and the changes and the hair and the scents and the body itself is an awkward thing. There's no way to unawkward it. Okay. So face it straight. Be honest about what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Don't try to put it in this way that's cool and, let me find a savvy way to talk about body image. That's not for this topic. For this topic, we're going to go direct. We're going to sit down. We're going to have honest, consistent conversations. We're going to combat the negative things that our children are hearing. We're going to explain to them that it is a business for them to hate themselves, that it is profitable when they hate themselves. We're going to have these consistent, uncomfortable, and awkward conversations to help them to be more confident adults that love their bodies. All right, let's keep growing. Common question. What if my child compares themselves to others? This is very common for children. It's common for adults. We often determine if we're doing good or bad by looking at the people around us. We very rarely, which I think that we should, look at our own progress and our own changes. We usually say, well, this person has this and this person has this and I have this, so I must be doing good. Or this person has this and this person has this and I don't, so I must be doing bad. Comparison is often the thief of joy because we only usually compare in the negative. It's always the person on the social media that has all the cars, all the houses, the beautiful spouse, the perfect kids, the whole nine that we go look at. We don't go outside and look at the person who has been sleeping on the street because they lost their whole family in a car wreck, because they're alone, because they don't have access to mental health services or health care. We don't compare in that way. So we only compare in one way, and there is intentionality to that. That is on purpose. And so the first thing we're going to address is we are going to try to remove comparison unless it is comparison of self. How are you doing better at the thing you've been working on? Other than that, baby, you can keep it. How do I talk about, or should I talk about, my own insecurities? Absolutely. Strong children often come from vulnerable parents. When you are vulnerable, for one, it humanizes you. I don't know what this thing is with kids where they think that we're adults, so we just know everything and we just got it all together. But baby, we do not. And the only way for them to understand that we too are human, so we can empathize and we understand because we were once children, even though they don't think that that's true, is to be vulnerable. So absolutely, you can talk about your own insecurities, but I would also talk about the things that you love about yourself, the things that you once didn't like and now appreciate, like how I talked about my gap or even my body. That doesn't mean that I don't have moments where I'm not like, but most of the time I'm good with who I am, and that's a beautiful thing. So the more vulnerable you can be, the more it allows your child to understand that this is just a normal part of life. I will have some days that I feel different about myself than others, but overall, I should and can love who I am. Wow. Thank you so much for learning with me this week. This is definitely a touchy topic. We want our children to love themselves, to have a positive attitude around their body image, and also we want them to be healthy, and we want them to be conscious of the decisions that we make, and there is balance within it all. But overall, I'm so grateful that you checked out the resources that I had this week on this channel to help you to help your child. As always, be sure to check out the read-alouds from this week as well as the behind the book reviews. Check out my books. I am too an author and illustrator. And take a look at the Empathy Library, which is a pay it forward initiative that gives books to children in need at no cost to them. Thank you so much for learning with me, for growing with me, and for being part of this book-loving community. Until next time, remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.